Hello everyone. In this session, we are going to discuss the solutions for the exercise 1.2 of number systems from your NCERT textbook. So let us start. The first question says, state whether the following statements are true or false. Justify your answer. So the first part, every irrational number is a real number. So already we have seen that real numbers will comprise of both rational. So if you consider real numbers as a total set, there will be rational as well as there will be one more part, that is irrational. So for sure that every irrational number will fit into this bag of real numbers. So my first statement is going to be true. So you take any irrational number, that will be part of real numbers. Why? Because both rational numbers as well as irrational numbers together we call them as real numbers. So that is why the first statement is true. So that is the explanation for that. Just you can go through it. The second part of the question, every point on the number line is of the form square root of m, where m is a natural number. So here we are asked about every point. Suppose if you take the negative part of the number line, suppose if we say square root of let us say -1, -2, -3 and all. So we call it as real number line. We are seeing that the negative square roots can't be found on this particular real number line, and we call them as imaginary numbers. But here the question says on the number line will be of the form square root of m, where m is the natural number. Every point, is it necessary? So no. So that's why every point need not to be of the form square root of m. So why? Because there are negative numbers on the number line which cannot be written as the form of square root of m. Okay, so that is our second part. Third question, every real number is an irrational number. So this is the reverse statement of the first part. So every irrational number will be a real number, but every real number won't be an irrational number. Why? Because these real numbers will comprise of rational numbers for sure, which won't be our irrational. So the first statement is true, the third statement is going to be false. So why? Because suppose if you take a real number in the sense it can be rational as well as irrational also. They together we call it as real numbers, but we are exclusively talking about irrational numbers. So that's why these real numbers will comprise of rational as well as irrational. So that's why every real number need not to be an irrational number. So that finishes our first question. Here I would like to add something to this particular question. See here, square root of m we are talking about. Now, can the square root of any natural number you take, suppose you take any natural number under square root, will it be negative? No, it won't be negative. But our number line will comprise of both positive as well as negative numbers. So even if we get this positive part, we won't be getting this negative part. So that is why our second statement is going to be false. We shall move to the second question. Are there square roots of all positive integers irrational? If not, give an example of the square root of number that is a rational number. So here the question is about square root of all positive integers. So you take, so what are the positive integers? You take randomly with examples. Let us say 1, 2, 3. These are nothing but positive integers. Now we are asked about the square roots of these integers. So what is square root of 1? It will be 1. Square root of 2. So as we have discussed, this is going to be irrational. Is it 1? So this is rational, but this square root of 2 irrational. Why? Because if you find it using the long division method or use calculator, you will find that the decimal expansion of this root 2 will be non-terminating and non-repeating. So it is irrational. And root 3 is also irrational. But if you see the square root of 4, so square root of 4 is going to be plus or minus 2, or suppose if you take plus 2 or minus 2, both are going to be rational. Why? Because if you take plus 2, it can be written as 2 by 1. If you take minus 2, it also can be written as minus 2 by 1. So the square root of this natural number, that means square root of this positive integer, is becoming rational here. So our statement, so here they are asked about, are square roots of all positive integers irrational? Is it irrational here? No. So that is the reason. So no, the square roots of all positive integers need not to be irrational. They may, but they need not to be irrational. So here if you take 2 and 3, they are irrational. If you take 4, 9, perfect squares, whatever we have, suppose if you take 16 and you take the square root of 16, you will get plus or minus 4. So you take plus 4 or minus 4, both are going to be rational numbers. Why? Because by default there will be always 1. Okay, so that is why this statement need not to be true always. So that is the solution for our second question. Let us move to the third question now. So third question says, show how root 5 can be represented on the number line. So we have seen two methods for representing the square roots of any numbers on the number line. So one is going to be checking with the Pythagoras theorem combinations, and one more is going to be general method, that is what we have discussed. So we shall go with the first approach, how to represent this particular root 5 on the number line. So we have, suppose we need to look at the combinations. Suppose see, you take a right angle triangle. So always remember this hypotenuse is going to be the irrational part. So we have here we have to get a root 5. Okay, suppose take this number 5 as it is. Okay, now try to express this number as sum of squares of two numbers. Can I write it as 2 square, which is 4, plus 1 square? So 2 square plus 1 square. So can I write this 5 as root 5 square, which we want to be located? So it is nothing but 2 square plus 1 square. So now see here, if I take a right angle triangle with one of the side as 2, one more side as 1, so 2 square plus 1 square will be equal to root 5 square here. So that is why just you take the number line now, start from 0. So let us say this is 1 and this is 2. So just you take 2 units here, and at 2 just you drop a perpendicular of 1 centimeter. So better use uniform intervals here. So this is 0 to 1, 1 centimeter, 1 to 2, 1 centimeter. Again just you project it to 1 centimeter such that it is right angle. If I join this particular length like this, let us say this is A and this is B here. So this B, OB will be exactly, suppose if you use Pythagoras theorem, OB square will be equal to OA square plus AB square. So that is why OB square, OB will be equal to square root of, so just here I have considered A in this solution. So OA square is equal to 2 square plus 1 square. So if I assume this as 2, this as 1, so this is hypotenuse, so OA square, that means OA square is equal to 2 square plus 1 square. So OA square is equal to 5, then OA will be equal to root 5. So after getting this OA length as root 5, what I will do, just you take the compass needle, just place the tip here, compass tip here, and just place your pencil here and draw an arc as OA as the radius, and just project it towards the number line. So just if you start at 0, and we know that this is also radius of arc and this is also radius of arc. If this is root 2, this also will be root 2. So from O to C is going to be root 2, suppose if it is root 5, this also will be root 5. So OC, this point will be exactly root 5 on the number line. So this is how you work with the different combinations. Suppose we want root 6 on the number line. How will you locate it actually? Suppose see, always just look for the combinations. So 6, if it is there, can I write it as root 5 square plus 1 square? That means I have to take a right angle triangle with these lengths. Okay, so it is root 5 square is what? 5 plus 1. Can I write this as root 6 square? So root 6 square is equal to root 5 square plus 1 square. That means here what I will do, after getting root 5, okay, I will just project it one more unit like this. Now see, this is root 5 and this is 1. If I just join this length like this, from here to here, let us say this is x. So can you tell me OX is going to be how many units? This is going to be root 6 units exactly. So O as the center, this x, OX as the radius, if you drop like this, just this root 6 will be much little greater than this particular root 5. So that's why you'll be getting an arc here at some other point, let us say this is D. So like that, in this method we have to take the possible combinations and we have to work accordingly. So just what we call it as a spiral. Suppose if you keep on just representing all the numbers like this, just you can make a spiral like this, root 6, root 7, root 7. Suppose for this root 6, if you attach one more unit like this, you'll be getting root 7 like this. Just you can try it, just you'll be getting a spiral like this. So this is how we can represent it using our first method. So let us see the other way that we have discussed. So root 5 we have to represent it. So what is the first step? Just you draw a b as 5. Okay, now for this AB, just take one more unit. So this is 5, take 1, so let us say this is C. Now this entire AC will become 6 units. You find the midpoint. What is half of 6? It is going to be 3. If you are not able to find it directly, that means you are not able to locate it directly. So here I can use the scale to represent this particular 3, but sometimes what will happen if it is 2.5 or like that, you may not be getting exactly on the scale. In that, just we have to use compass and we have to bisect and we have to find the midpoint. So our midpoint is here now. Now see, take this O, let us say this is O as the center, OA as the radius. Just you make a semicircle starting from A to C like this. So this is our semicircle. So after that, what you will do, just drop a perpendicular from B to the semicircle in the upward direction. So here the angle has to be 90 degrees and we have to just project it in the upward direction. Okay, this will be 90 degrees. Now whatever, let us say this is some X. So this BX is going to be exactly, if you see, this is going to be root 5 units. So whatever the length you take here, this root will come here like this. So this BX is going to be root 5 units. Now what I will do, just now start afresh from 0 here. Suppose see, if you assume this as 0, just start the number line from here to here, and this BX as the radius, just project it like this to the number line now. So this point, let us say D, will give you, if you assume this as 0, so in between 1 is there, so if you take this particular 5, it will be greater than 2 only. Why? Because square root of 4 is 2, square root of 5 has to be more than that 2, so that's why it will cross 2, and somewhere just you will be getting your point D. So that is exactly root 5 that we can locate on the number line. Remember, after getting this point, so after just you drop the perpendicular to the semicircle, just start afresh from there only. So if you assume this as 0, so I am assuming this as 0 B, so this length will be root 5. When you just project it from 0 to like this, why? Because already it is 1, it has to cross it. Why? Because square root of 5 will be greater than square root of 4, which is 2. So our number will somewhere lie here. So that is how we can locate the number using this generalized approach also. So remember, this will be very useful to locate the square root of any number on the number line. So we can work with the combinations as well as we can just go for the general method to represent the given square root on the number line. So with this we have finished our 1.2. I hope you understand all how to represent these numbers on the number line. So we shall meet in the next session. So till then, keep revising the things. Have a great day. Thank you all.